The City of Albany commits to sustaining ongoing relationships with the tribe and together build a better future for all that now make this their home.
Great, thank you. Next we go to announcements. Looks like we have a new member. Welcome. Member Bowers, do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be joining you all this evening. I was sworn in earlier today at City Hall and very thrilled to be joining. My name is Michael Bowers. I'm a relatively new resident to Albany. I moved to California about 4 years ago, and my spouse and I moved to Albany 3 years ago and bought a home. Very happy to be making an investment in this community. What do I do? I'm a vice president for a global nonprofit that does children's literacy and girls' education. It's called Room to Read. So we're kind of a global publishing house for children, and we focus on Indigenous authors and illustrators and do teacher training, things like that. I myself just returned from a trip to Lebanon and Jordan to help children, especially affected by the Syrian conflict. Previously, I was a vice president for Mercy Corps, which is an international humanitarian and aid development organization. So I've spent about 15 years to 20 years of my life living abroad, including Afghanistan and other places are experiencing conflict. And what to say, I love to cook, love to stroll Albany more and more, and I can't wait to participate in this committee. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome. And any other announcements from committee members?
Nope.
Any announcements from staff?
Yeah, I have an announcement actually. So for the sculpture loan program, the artist agreements are going to City Council next meeting, which is going to be on the February 22nd. From there, we will move along towards the installing process afterwards. So we are in the next step moving forward, and we're looking towards a bright future for this sculpture loan program.
Great. Thanks, Keenan. I have a kind of general announcement regarding last month's meeting, which is really kind of fitting since we're celebrating Valentine's Day and love and compassion and all of that. And it's just really just a reminder to everyone, both committee members and public, that we are not out of these stressful times yet. And I think we need to remember that we need to treat each other with respect and understanding and forgiveness. We need to understand that there's a lot going on for a lot of people. And the most I think that we can ask for people is to take responsibility and make amends as they can, and to answer for themselves. So moving forward, I hope that everyone here continues to show respect and empathy and concern for one another, and that members of the public also understand that everyone is doing the best they can. Member Goodman?
Well, I'd certainly like to echo what you just said, Chair Gotch. I think what happened last meeting was very unfortunate, and I would at the same time like to acknowledge the tremendous contribution that Cheryl has made to the committee over the years, to the gallery. Her commitment was unwavering, and she really brought a lot of very, very good and positive things to the committee. And I don't want that to be overlooked by the very unfortunate circumstance in which which occurred last month. So just a shout out to Cheryl for all her wonderful work over the years. She was a real pleasure to work with.
Well said to both of you.
Great. Anyone else have any further comments? All right, then we will move forward. Following announcements, we go to, I skipped over a couple of things here. Approval of minutes. We need a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
I second.
Great. And Keenan, would you go ahead and take the vote?
Yeah, of course. Chair Gatch,
Yes.
Member Bowers,
Aye.
Member Bergman,
Yes.
Member Goodman,
Yes.
Member Samatsky,
Yes.
and Member Raxel.
Yes.
All right.
All right. The minutes are approved. We'll go now. Sorry, again, I have to apologize. I'm slightly off the mark on our agenda this meeting. We are now in the first phase of public comment, and this is public comment for persons desiring to address the advisory board on an item that is not on the agenda. And note that it says here the speaker is limited up to 3 minutes, and the Brown Act limits the committee's ability to take and or discuss items that are not on the agenda. Therefore, such items are normally referred to staff for comment or for a future agenda. Keenan, do we have any public comments?
We do have one public comment, yes.
Okay, great.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jeremiah. I was wondering about the statue down by the Albany Beach. I guess it was the 3 birds. I don't remember what species, but I was wondering what was going on with that. Were we going to repaint it, or were we going to move it somewhere, or were we going to replace the statue or sculpture with another one? I was just kind of curious what happened with that. Maybe I missed a meeting. And also, I was wondering how much art we have in the parks. I was kind of hoping that maybe someday every park in Albany has an art project. I don't know, would it be titled Art in the Parks or something? I just think that maybe community members do spend a lot of times at the parks, let's say Terrace Park. Well, there's that beautiful mural at Terrace Park. Gosh, that's beautiful. Maybe there could be more murals around the city. Let's see here. Oh yeah, the Big Bellies on Solano. I sent an email to city staff trying to get everybody a Big Belly, meaning your committee would get at least one Big Belly. I know they're trash cans on Solano, but maybe we could make them look good, with some art. A lot of the Big Bellies, they have spots for signs, and a lot of them are just blank and they're not being used. And I was thinking maybe we can have an artist of the month or something, maybe something that's not so serious as the art gallery of the month, but maybe just a local, student of the month from an art class. They can just get their art displayed on a Big Belly on Solano. Just that way, more people could see local artists, do their work. And yeah, so that's basically it. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you, Jeremiah. We are restricted from discussing items that are not on the agenda. I will just say that the cranes down at the waterfront are an item on our work plan, and we'll continue to look at options there. Nothing has been decided as of yet. And the Albany Arts Committee plan does have several sites throughout Albany that we're looking at for art projects. Keenan, anything you want to add to that, or should we keep moving?
No, I think you said exactly what I was going to say.
Are there any other public comments?
No, not at this time.
Okay, if there's no further public comments, I think we've already hit agenda item number 4, announcements. Do we have any presentations? That's agenda item number 5 for tonight.
No presentations.
Okay. Agenda item number 6, we have 2 items there. The first is subcommittee reports, if subcommittees have reports for tonight. And the second is the Albany Creative Justice Art Project. So starting with subcommittee reports, there is an order in the agenda, but I think it's just a suggested order. Do we have reports from any of the subcommittees tonight? All right. Member Szymanski, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I will talk about the gallery in the library, which at this point I will be taking over from Cheryl. And for those of you who aren't acquainted with that, those of you listening, as it's my understanding that the committee is the one that receives the applications and makes the final decision about what will be in the gallery. And then the supervising committee member goes to visit the artists, talks to the artists personally, and looks at their artwork. And then then we organize the number of gallery showings for the year. Historically, it's been 4, but in the next year, it'll be 6 to kind of make up for the COVID times. The city staff is the one who organizes the gallery opening and brings the refreshments. Of course, we haven't had any for a couple of years, but hopefully it'll happen again in the future. The artists hang their own shows and put on their own security devices. And as far as I understand, there's a $20 application fee and a fee for their postcards to go out. The committee member, historically, they just bring flowers and orange juice and kind of are there for support. I think that's the whole thing. And we will see, I think the next application period is over April 1st. And then that selection process will begin for the next year. We have 2 shows left to do, which I will be helped through by the previous supervisor. And so I'll be learning a lot about how it goes on, and I'll bring back recommendations to the committee about what I feel is going on so that you can know how to go forward. And finally, I just want to thank Cheryl for her total years of support of this gallery and the kind of support she gave the community and the artists in the community. I want to recognize that. So that's it. I'll probably need some help in the future, so hang on.
So I just wanted to touch up on that a little bit as well. Just for everybody's notice, for the subcommittee to be appointed, we do tend to have the committee appoint people to those subcommittees. Szymanski, if you are interested in doing that, we would have to have more of a motion from the committee to appoint.
So if I want someone to back me up, I have to do that.
Mm-hmm. So there would be need to be a motion to appoint either Szymanski or someone else to the art gallery for a hour.
If there's anyone that would like to be on the subcommittee for the gallery, you can also make a motion to nominate yourself to be on the subcommittee.
And please do. Okay.
All right. And if that doesn't, yeah, Member Ballard?
Yes, Chair. I'd like to have a motion for myself to be appointed or nominated for Member Szymanski's support.
Thank you very much.
Great. And do we have a second?
I second it.
All right. And Keenan, would you take a vote, please?
Sure. All right. Chair Gatch?
Yes.
Member Bowers,
Yes.
Member Bergman,
Yes.
Member Goodman,
Yes.
Member Samatsky,
Yes.
and Member Raxel.
Yes.
Great.
All right, motion has been carried.
The motion passes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Member Bowers.
I heard orange juice and other things, and I thought, well, I can do that. At least I can do that.
Yes.
So, Keenan, I left the postcards at the desk. Did you get them? And
Yes, we have them, and the artist will be picking up her share within a few days.
okay. And Member Samansky, I've been doing these postcards. If you'd like me to continue doing that, I'm happy to. If you'd like to find another source, that's up to you. But I can discuss that with you.
Thank you very much. And I will absolutely call you about that.
Okay. All right.
Great.
And just to throw it out there as well, it doesn't just have to be one person in the subcommittee. So if anybody else would like to join Member Samatsky, more than welcome to as well.
And did you say Cheryl is going to be helping you for the next two shows?
Yes, she's already organized those two shows. And so to give me some experience about what is happening, she's going to support me with that. I also travel a lot for my work. And so I need someone to back me up just in case that gallery opening comes at the same time as I'm not in town. But there's not much to do, as I understand, except support and bring people in. As far as the gallery opening, it's not a big job. So she will be putting me through those and giving me her insights about all the experience she has had in the last 10 plus years.
I think she was very forceful in making sure the city maintained the wall surfaces well between shows.
Absolutely, she was. And I checked them just recently, and it's really important to do that. And it looks great.
Great.
And the security devices, that artists put on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they put on their own security devices.
Are we also coming up on making a selection for the next round of exhibiting artists?
As I understand it, the application process ends April 1st. So then we are going to be receiving all the applications. And once April 1st comes about, we'll see how many we have. And going forward, we should have a selection committee. We'll be able to see their work. And then once we as committee make those selections, then I and Member Bowers will go look at the artist's work in person and talk to them in person about the gallery openings and schedule them.
Great. Sounds good.
Okay.
Any other questions about the gallery? Oh, we had some suspense there with the green lit box, but it looks like we're moving to the next one here. Member Goodman, do you want to take us through, or sorry, Member Goodman or Member Bergman through the Poet Laureate Program Subcommittee?
I had just sent Member Bergman an update on what was happening with the Poet Laureate and with the Fall into Haiku. So is it okay if I just present that? There's not much to present.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So as far as the Poet Laureate goes, the city is looking for a new Poet Laureate, and the call for applications went out around January 15th or so. We have a deadline of March 31st. I don't really expect to get anything until like right before the deadline, which is how those things go. I think we have to do some work in making sure the word is out to all the possible people that might be interested in it. it's not a large group, so in theory, it should be easy to reach them. And then I think Member Bergman and I will have to figure out how to get a selection committee set up so that when we do get the final applications in, we'll be able to process it through fairly quickly and hopefully get within a month or month and a half to clear that through and then get it before City Council for approval. So that's the poet laureate side of things. And then the Fall in the Haiku program, there's really not much to report because that doesn't kick in until summertime, kind of late summer, and then it proceeds through the fall. So I'll have further updates on that when the time comes.
Okay. So we got two and one there. Any questions on either poet laureate or haiku from other members of the committee? Okay. Sculpture Loan Program Committee, according to the agenda, is currently open and looking for member support. If that's something that someone would like to work on, we can also make that a motion to put together that subcommittee.
I have a question. Keenan, how you just mentioned that we're ready to go. So what does that mean? Like weeks, months? Do you need somebody else to do stuff with this?
Yeah, so we do need some people to help out with contacting, but staff will do its best to move everything forward from here. But it's just nice and important to have someone appointed to the subcommittee for this as well.
You mean like a contact to the committee?
Mm-hmm, correct.
So this is, as a reminder, this is the committee for the Sculpture Loan Program, which involves receiving sculptural works from artists for a 2-year loan period for designated sites in Albany that have been pre-selected and at this point that are ready for installation and are hopefully imminent, right? Hopefully this is gonna happen, finally. Do we have any committee members that want to be there for the victory lap? Take all the credit.
Well, I'm in the volunteering spirit, I think, and since Keenan has assured me that it's just ceremonial at this point, but no, I would be more than happy to take a stab at this as well, and in the leadership for this committee, if so be. So I motion to nominate myself if people agree.
Great. Do we have a second?
I second.
Keenan, can you take the vote?
Mm-hmm. Chair Gatch?
Yes.
Member Bowers?
Yes.
Member Bergman?
Yes.
Member Goodman?
Yes.
Member Samansky?
Yes, and thank you.
And Member Raxel?
Yes.
All right. And is there anyone else that would like to join on that subcommittee?
Or have tips. Can always reach out for tips.
All right. Well, we'll leave that one out there for now. Member Bowers, you can reach out to anyone on the committee for tips, and we can fill you in and offer advice, and try not to steer you too far astray here.
Great. And I have more than orange juice to share at my house, so tips could always be accompanied by other libations for people who are interested. Great.
Do we have any announcements or subcommittee reports on the Arts and Economic Development Subcommittee? Member Goodman, that's also you.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to report except that I did make a point of watching the video recording of the last meeting of the city's committee, and I was hoping that someone there would mention the Arts Committee and their intention to meet with us to go over things, but nobody did. So I know there's two members of that committee who are a former subcommittee to work with the Arts Committee. And can I suggest to Keenan that you again try to reach out to the liaison of that committee and set something up so that we can get involved with whatever their initiative is. There's so much that the Arts Committee could do to contribute to their own initiative as far as public art, making places hospitable and interesting, and being a draw to the commercial area of the city. But we really have to coordinate that, and so we really need to meet with their committee. And I'm happy to do that whenever whenever we can schedule a mutually convenient time.
And I am working with staff to make that happen. So I'll definitely keep you in touch,
Okay.
Member Goodman, and we'll go from there as well.
Great, thank you.
All right. I'm going to hold off on the subcommittee report from the Creative Justice Art Project, since that's also an agendized item. So I'll kind of include it all in there. But since this section is an agenda item as subcommittee reports, Keenan, do we take public comment on this particular section? Okay. And do we have any public comment?
We have one public comment, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair Gash, for not forgetting about the public. You spoke about a few things. I just wanted to mention that the art gallery, it's a little bit more than just orange juice, right? Isn't it also wine? I mean, in the past, it's been alcohol. I was just wondering what checks and balances this committee provides to the community regarding public safety. Is someone IDing people, checking ages? Because I just recommend it be a sober event, and hopefully it is just orange juice, right? With a little secret bottle of champagne under the table. I don't know. But I just think Albany I'm trying not to use the word should. I think Albany could create this a sober event, and I mean, what are you guys going to call this thing? A sip, stare, and shop? I just think it would be a great sober event for the community. And also, you guys mentioned the subcommittees. The new member, I really appreciate your enthusiasm. We have that in common. I would just hope that there's things in place to where, subcommittee reports, hopefully you're taught properly how to do subcommittee reports. Because I like to be on subcommittees. You seem to want to be on subcommittees, and I just hope you get properly trained on how to report, make a formal, proper report for a subcommittee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Keenan, do we have any additional public comment?
No, not at this time.
Okay. So that brings us to agenda item 6.2, which is the Creative Justice Art Project. We are officially just past the deadline for submissions. Unfortunately, we did not receive many submissions. And as you recall, the amount that is earmarked for that project requires that we create a separate selection panel. So in our subcommittee meeting between myself and member Szymanski and in discussion with Keenan, the recommendation is to, at this time, is to extend the period of time for collecting submissions. There was some interest that came in after the deadline. So there's the possibility of soliciting additional submissions. And we feel that in order to provide due diligence and to convene an additional selection committee, that there has to be a greater number of submissions to warrant that. So the recommendation at this time is to extend that that period for, I think for, we discussed a period of 60 days beyond the current submissions, and then to make additional efforts and kind of increase our efforts at outreach. One of the possible hurdles and obstacles that we faced was the first call for proposals went out kind of right around the holiday period, right around Thanksgiving, leading into the December holidays, followed by New Year's. And we feel that that time period might not have been conducive for people to properly respond or for word to get around in and amidst all the other noise of that time period. So we are still hopeful and optimistic that we can get a number of great proposals. And the proposals that have come in, at first glance, it looks like they may be contenders as well. So, and we would reach out to those that have submitted them currently to let them know that that period of time has been extended. And if they would like to amend their proposals in any way, that they would also have that opportunity so that there wouldn't be any sort of disadvantage to having gotten them in during the first deadline period. Member Szymanski, is there anything that I forgot to mention in that?
No, I don't think so. I think that it's a really good thing to extend it it was hard to get out. And so I think that extension is good. And we agreed on that.
I will also add that in this field, it is absolutely not uncommon to issue an extension of deadlines. I see this commonly among other deadlines for publicly cited work. So I think it's still consistent within that. And then just doing more work on our end, both from the committee and from the staff, to circulate the proposal to a greater degree, I think would be really helpful. Member Goodman?
Is there a minimum number that you're looking for? And if you don't get a suitable proposal, is it possible that there would simply not be, the project would be disbanded?
That's a good question. We haven't yet discussed a minimum number. I will say that the number of applications that we have so far currently is 4, which we feel, if we're convening an external panel, it does not fully justify, especially since that panel would probably be at least 3 people, and they might all decide on a different project in terms of the project that they want. So we want them to be able to reach some consensus and have a meaningful discussion if we're bringing in that panel. I would hope, in terms of proposals, that we would see at least 10. I think that's certainly possible. I would expect more than 10 ultimately. I think really the problem was just getting the word out and not getting the word out enough around this. I think the amount that we have is sufficient to attract some really great proposals. And I think there's lots of people within the area and beyond that would be attracted to the proposal as it's written. To answer the second part of your question, the committee does always have the option to, once we convene that panel, that decision from that panel comes back to the committee. If I understand the process correctly, comes back to the committee with a recommendation. The committee then votes whether or not to accept that recommendation. If we accept that recommendation moves forward to City Council for approval. And then we would move forward from there. So it is entirely possible that the panel would convene and not make a recommendation, and then we wouldn't have a recommendation to approve, or that the panel would convene and make a recommendation, and for whatever reason, it would be at odds with the committee. And then we would kind of be back to square one. Other questions from the committee?
I think just in terms of, I also would concur with extension. It sounds very sound. In terms of other promotional or sort of, what's the word, in terms of getting the word out differently or not, is there considerations on that, or is it really just sort of a sense of the crowding around the holiday period was the main factor?
There was outreach to a couple of prominent lists that circulate among contemporary artists to put those on their calendars. I know that there was communication with those lists that was in the affirmative, that those were going to be posted. I haven't done the follow-up to know if they actually did get posted or not, and so that needs to happen. There's also a number of other lists and community networks that we could reach out to that weren't initially reached. And there's also, we have approval to use some funding from the Arts Committee for paid promotion. At this point, we haven't done any kind of paid advertising or paid promotion, particularly social media promotion on Facebook or Instagram for groups of people that identify as contemporary artists or public artists or socially engaged artists. I think would be a really great way to reach more people. I know within my own network, I could have done more to get the word out, and I need to do that. If anyone has other suggestions, though, please, absolutely put them forward. Any other questions from committee members before we go to public comment?
No.
Just to say something as well, if you are considering extending the time frame, there does need to be a motion put in place as well as approval from the committee.
Do we do that after public comment or before public comment?
I believe before public comment.
Okay. So I would like to move to extend the deadline for the Albany Creative Justice Project for 60 days. Do we have a second? And Keenan, would you take a vote?
Chair Gatt?
Yes.
Member Bowers?
Yes.
Member Bergman?
Yes.
Member Goodman?
Yes.
Member Samatsky?
Yes.
And Member Raxel?
Yes.
Okay. The motion passes. We can take public comment followed by any additional discussion from the committee. Is there a public comment?
There is a public comment.
Hi, thank you. I like this project. Oh shoot. I was just gonna suggest that or ask basically, how do we get maybe Albany High School students more involved in this project? When I went to Albany High, we had a art class. Mr. Hill was my teacher. I was just wondering if it's possible, if there's barriers set in place. I was just wondering how we can get the Albany High School students involved, maybe middle school. I was just wondering how we can incorporate this sort of thing with a majority of our community which are students. So I was just hopefully throwing it out there that if somehow the Albany High School arts, maybe the art teacher, I'm not sure who it is now, but hopefully someone knows a teacher at the Albany High School for art, and hopefully you guys can work collaboratively and engage Albany High art students. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Just to comment quickly, the Arts Committee does not make any work, but we do try and help facilitate the creation of arts in Albany. This proposal is one way in which we try and do that. And this proposal specifically is for artwork that actively engages the community and works with the community. So it is absolutely our hope that the proposals that we receive from artists are looking to actively engage members of our community, which certainly could include students. Doesn't have to include students, but it certainly could. So for members of the public that may be listening, please spread the word. And we look forward to seeing proposals that are geared towards actively engaging the community. Keenan, do we have any other public comment?
No other public comments at this time.
Okay. Is there any further discussion from the committee? All right, so next steps, we will extend the deadline on the website, and member Szymanski and myself will work alongside Keenan to try and promote this project further. And certainly for members of the public, also please link the call for proposals, send it out to your friends and colleagues, and same for members of the committee. And if you have suggestions, definitely email them to us about better ways to promote it. All right, I think that takes care of our agenda items for agenda item 6, which brings us to agenda item 7, which is future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items from members of the committee?
Nope.
Member Goodman?
Yeah, I'll update on the poet laureate, and perhaps also some update on the Economic Development Committee subcommittee too.
Great. Member Szymanski?
I would like to put the idea of the community art projects as a discussion item. I really didn't realize what that was when I first joined, but it's different than what the social justice project is. These are smaller community projects that, you know, community members can get it. And it's very confusing on our city site for that particular thing. Some of them says, you know, like they're not taking any applications. I don't know where it is, and I'd like to figure that out.
Great, that sounds like a great discussion item. Any other agenda items at this time? As a reminder, up until pretty much the week before our meetings, any member can contact staff with an agenda item. You can also contact me with agenda items, and I will pass them along to staff as well.
Okay.
All right. Then, Keenan, we can also put an update, the subcommittee updates again on the agenda item. For committee members, if you are not currently on a subcommittee, give some thought to the work plan and to which committee, which work plan items you would like to dedicate yourself. The bulk of the work that we get done in this committee is through action items and agenda items and work from projects that are taken on through the subcommittee. So please continue to work on those subcommittee items. with that said, our next meeting is in a month. It'll be Monday, March 14th. Close to St. Patrick's Day. So we'll have to change our colors around. But not quite there. So if there's nothing else, well, this has been a real hot Valentine's Day date. And I appreciate your company.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Very nice to see
thank
everyone for
you.
the first time.
All
Welcome.
right.
Welcome.
Bye-bye.
Good
All right,
night.
the meeting is adjourned.